Welcome to From Caving In to Crushing It, the podcast for those who find themselves immersed in adversity and choose to write their story instead of having others write it for them. I'm Deraney, and I'm your host. Cece, it's good to see you.
Oh, it's great to see you.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. And, I always like to thank the people who introduce us. And I did forget to look to find out. I forget. I know that I was on a podcast. What was her name?
Oh my gosh, no, I don't remember. Was
That's
it
what.
Rosalind?
Yeah,
Rosalind
it was
Sadak?
Rosalind. It was Rosalind. It was Rosalind. So I was on Rosalind Sadaka's her podcast, which is on your station, which we'll get to what you do professionally, but we want to get to know Cece as a person. So I am thankful for Rosalind for having me on her show, so I could get a chance to meet you. So thank you, Rosalind. So, Cece, when we're young, we're taught that life is linear, right? Where we're told by our family, and it's not malicious, that if we do certain things in a particular order, A plus B plus C, then D is going to happen. Everything's going to be fine. It's not malicious. They're trying to protect us. They hope for us that life will be a straight line and everything will be fine. Inevitably, though, it's not the case. Where it's linear, life is linear until it's not. And something or some things get in our way externally that cause us to live more of a circuitous route in life. And along the way, there's so many defining moments that pop up that where we have an opportunity to change our life, and sometimes we don't even notice it. Sometimes we notice it and we decide not to. And sometimes we notice it and we do something about it. And that's why I say that there's three types of humans out there. And in your case, there's three types of women out there. You can have woman number one who lives through life in complete, utter blind spots and doesn't notice anything, has really a low self-awareness, and just goes through life the way it's been handed to her. And that's it. Then there's woman number two who does notice that she's going through a lot of adversity. And rather than feel that she controls a lot of her behavior, she feels like she's a victim and she blames others and says, this is just the way life is. It's doing it to me. I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing. I bring woman number three on this show, and I believe you are woman number three. Woman number three is the woman who's gone through adversity, and she's at a point in her life where she's got a lot more heightened self-awareness and says, you know what? This adversity is not a barrier. This is an opportunity to create a better life for myself. I'm going to do something different and become a stronger person. And I believe that's who you are. So with that being said, if you could reach back as far as you need to find that defining moment, whether it was the tap on the shoulder or the whisper in the ear, or what I needed, the 2x4 upside the head at age 50 to say, hey, there's a better way to live. I'm tired of this. I'm going to do something different. Something that's molded you to be the woman you are now, Cece.
Well, gosh, I've had so many, I've had relationships that haven't worked out. And then
Mhm.
I realized, there's got to be something more to life. I've always thought there has to be something more to life. And I remember, being a young girl, my grandmother always saying, you're made for good things. There's something really special about you. You're going to be all this. I'm thinking, well, yeah, she's my grandmother. Of course, she's going to be saying these things, like, all right. But then
Yeah.
I kind of believed that. I started believing
Mhm.
that as I was moving forward in my life. And so when, things that would happen that weren't really good in my life, then I would stop for a minute and say, wait a minute, I am made for something better. I am supposed to be doing something better. This isn't my gift. And so I just continued on with that. And so after my last, relationship with my ex was
Yeah.
pretty rocky, was pretty terrible, and said some
Mhm.
horrible things to me. I mean, the last words he said to me was, I was only good enough to do his dirty laundry. And I said, you know what? You're going to
Wow.
see, you're going to watch me. And so I left him that day. I made the decision. That was the day I was leaving. And so as I was moving through that, going through my divorce and all of that was really horrible. It was long, it
Mhm.
was draining, I think now knowing, looking back, I know it was
Yeah.
very abusive, a lot of things that we're going through.
Right.
But I had a reading done, right? And so I
Okay.
had this reading, and Karen and anybody interested in having a reading with her, I'd be happy to share information.
Great. Sure.
Rosenberg. She was Karen Rosenberg. And I was in this, it was right towards the end of my divorce. I didn't know where
Mhm.
my life was going to go and everything.
Yeah.
She told me I was going to be on radio, I was going to be on TV, I was going to be on all these things. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, she's a quack. This is not going to work. There's
Yeah.
no way this is going to happen. And I
Right.
will tell you that
Yeah.
everything this woman has said to me has come true.
Unbelievable. Okay.
National television,
Yeah.
everything. And it's
Wow.
amazing. So my thing is to tell everyone out there that's listening is when those doors open, stop
Mhm.
climbing through the windows.
I love
That's what
that.
I do. I climb through that window, make my life harder, but
Hmm.
believe in yourself and know that there's something better for you out there. If you've got that gut instinct feeling that you have something that you need to move forward to do,
Hmm.
drive, do it. Don't be afraid. Don't let fear hold you back.
No, absolutely. So thank you for sharing that. So you're working through the divorce, you had the reading.
Mhm.
Now Karen could have just said that and you could have just said, yeah, yeah, okay, and then not done anything to get to that point. What types of behaviors and actions did you take after that reading that enabled you to manifest what you're doing right now?
Well, I was in a divorce support group, which I
Okay.
absolutely love, and I suggest everyone to get in some sort of group that you can really, I think, like sink yourself into, really
Right.
resonate with. And so
Mhm.
I was in this divorce support group. It really helped me a great deal. And then the organizer of the group decided she no longer wanted to do it. And with a friend of mine, we took over the group, and then my
Oh, wow.
friend met someone and she didn't want to do it. And so I took it over. I still have the group today.
Yeah.
And but that was a great thing for me because that led me to not only start working on myself,
Yeah.
but also help others. Because when you connect with other people going through what you've been through and what you're
Yeah.
going through, like-minded, it really does help you to push you through to the other side. And so I went on a talk show with my friend who had
Uh-huh.
a talk show, Victim to Survivors. I talked
Right.
about domestic violence within a relationship because not only I felt that I experienced this in my past, and then also a lot of people coming through the divorce support group were also experiencing that.
Hmm.
And
Right.
when I left that interview, the owners of the studio were outside the door and they said, "We'll give you a show if you'll come on." And
Wow.
that's how I started. I started on Life Improvement Radio, internet. It's still there today. And I started there with just radio. And
Wow.
my first show, I thought I was going to pass out. I mean, it was awful. They had to take a break and make me like calm down because I was so excited.
Oh my
But
God.
it went from there. From there, I went to TV, and so now I have my own network,
Mhm.
and it's called New Streaming Network, and we talk about all kinds of subjects, and they're
Right.
all talk shows. They're all geared towards
Uh-huh.
helping. And we started the Going Solo, thing. Now we're going into Going Bold, and we're broadening it into the new streaming. But
Good for
yeah,
you. So,
it's
all right.
been a
Well, you
journey.
know what? So there's part of that where you saw the opportunity and took it on, and then because you were able to take that on and didn't ignore it. Other stuff started to happen. What if the owners of that station were not standing outside?
Yeah,
Right?
I have
They
no idea.
were.
I probably would have continued with the divorce support stuff. And
Right.
at the time I was in the middle of writing a book. I wrote a
Yeah.
chapter in a collaborative book, and so I
Okay.
did that. And so I was trying to open the doors and um, be conscious of new experiences
Sure.
because that was one of the things I found in my marriages is that I was very held back. I was
Mhm.
very confined. And I realized that I think us as human beings, we have so much to give
Yeah.
and so much to experience that sometimes we don't allow ourselves to do that. So at that time in my life, I was saying, you know what? I'm going to just go with it. If something pops up, I'm gonna just, you know, and my grandmother always said U-turns were made for me. So I
I
could
love
always
that.
do a U-turn if I need to double back again, if things weren't quite right,
Yeah.
just experience it and go with it.
I love that. I love that. U-turns were made for you. We can all do U-turns, right? There's no such thing as a dead end. Turn around and
Mhm.
start over. So you became stronger. When someone says something to you like what your ex-husband said, some people when they think domestic violence is always physical, but the verbal abuse can be as devastating as the physical abuse. So for you to build that confidence and keep that confidence has been a testament to you. So I congratulate you for that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you help others feel confident too, because you've learned what the best way to speak to people is to be kind, right?
Mhm.
Kindness, it can trump anything. So tell me more about the station, how you're growing it, and how you're affording opportunity for others who may need to, who have a voice and they want to share their message.
Well, I realized that, when I was doing my show and I
Mhm.
love the life improvement, but I wasn't really getting any marketing. I was having to do all the marketing myself.
Mm,
And so
okay.
I started getting out there doing, and that was just simply a podcast, right? Just the
Okay.
audio
Right.
and on radio only. And so I started doing other things, getting out there. And the more I started doing that, the more I realized, well, there's other people that are probably struggling with that too. So, and they're doing, a lot of my friends that were doing this type of work, they were also doing full-time jobs. So they're just
Got
doing
it.
their podcast or whatever part-time, right? And so I started thinking, well, if I'm going to market myself, why don't I just, market my friends too? And let's gather up. And so Rosalind was one of the ones, Rosalind
Yeah.
Sadaka. I called her and I said,
Yeah.
listen, this is what I'm thinking about doing. And what do you think? And she said, go for it. She'll be a part of it. So she was one of my very first people. And so I
That's
started
great.
in radio,
Okay.
then moved into the podcasting. Podcasting is simply an audio that we send
Right.
out to other platforms. And
Right.
then we brought it into the TV arena. And I
Okay.
have been blessed to have friends along the way that have helped me do everything.
Mhm.
I mean, I had a gentleman, Chuck Bryant, who helped me set up the radio station. He's got a radio station himself.
Mhm.
I've had people that help me with the TV stuff. And so everybody, it's really like a joint effort. But
Right.
the station now today is, as I said, it's new streaming network. We're
Right.
all internet based. We're a TV, podcast, and a radio station.
Right.
We WGSN DB, Going Solo Network. WGSN DB is our call letter, so we are
Okay.
official. We are on Roku. Last year, we closed out at over 6 million on
Wow.
our Roku station. You can
Beautiful.
find our app on new streaming TV.
Okay.
So download our app. Also, we just started Roku Audio, so we're
Oh,
on
wow.
audio now. That's something new for us, and we've got like I think about 18 to 20 shows that we're doing. We're trying to bring on more. Anybody that's got a podcast who wants to be on TV or anything like that, radio, let me know and I'll be happy to help you do it. We're very economical because my goal is to make it economical for people to do it. If
Sure.
somebody's got a dream or a wish to be able to, or have a story, a journey to share, I don't want them to not be able to do that. And
Right.
so we're making it very economical for people to come on board. If you already have your own show, your podcast, and you're doing it on a particular network, you can keep doing that. And we're happy to bring your stuff on and distribute it into ours. We've got about 59 different platforms, and we've got a tremendous amount of listeners now that are staying with us. So we started with the Going Solo arena. Now we're trying to do self-improvement, self-help,
Mhm.
and do some other things too. So we've got attorney that Ask Jason Weiss show. We've got, a lot of different shows on that are being a little bit different. So financial shows, things
Mhm.
like that we're looking for. So any idea anybody has, we want to hear about it.
That's great. Absolutely. Yeah. And actually, folks, you certainly are capturing right now the essence of Cece, and we're going to continue to talk on her, but you can reach out to her, to Cece at going solo network at gmail.com and also all social media platforms. If you do have a show and an idea, definitely talk to Cece. She's going to be very, very, very helpful. And I love your philosophy too, because there are a lot of people with ideas. They don't know where to turn. And when they turn to the wrong person who just wants money, it prices you out, but then you lose your voice. And you know, with you, people can still have their voice, and like you said, you make it economical, so we can make it happen. So thank you for offering that. Absolutely. Anything else going on in your life that you want to share with the audience
Well,
on
I'm still doing the
yeah,
going solo stuff.
you
So
are.
I still
Okay.
have the divorce, I still have my divorce group. I still have, you can find on our platform, My Friends Connect, and there's some groups on there that you can join. I have a travel group where we travel and have fun, going
Wow.
solo travelers. And so that's been doing really well, and just really trying to have fun and live life. And I'll tell you a funny story. When I was
Yeah,
a kid,
definitely.
my mother I got in trouble at school, right? And so I come home and my mother said, "Your teacher says you talk all the time. You got to quit talking. You got to,
Wow.
what are you going to do in life if all you do is talk?" And here I am on
There you
talk shows.
go. There you go. That's what I'm going to do, Mom. Oh, that's right. You know, it is. It's a common story what you just said, because I have my middle guy. He used to talk a lot and got in trouble in school for talking, and now the shame of it is he doesn't talk as much as he used to.
Yeah.
Because you know, a lot of times these leaders in our lives don't realize how they hold us back. Our education system is a big industry that does hold us back, puts a lot of limits on us. Don't do this, don't do that. Um, and it takes the strong-willed person as he or she gets older to realize that we were born without limitations.
Hmm.
It's been society that's been placing the limitations on us, and we can control and remove those limitations when we realize the power is within us. So
Right.
the power is certainly within you. And I love that. You ever reach back to that teacher and say, "Hey, look where I am now."
Well, yeah, actually, I think I have. Yeah.
Good.
A lot of my teachers, I'm a little older now, so some of them are starting to pass.
Yeah.
But I have, there was one high school teacher that was very special, and my psychology teacher.
Yeah.
And he always said, you need to be a therapist or something, because I would never go down the straight line with a question. I always had to come
Mhm.
around and try to solve it from a different angle. But
There
yeah,
you go. There you go. So
he took me there.
all
Yeah.
those things, I mean, that was a nice thing that person said, but all the things that they told us when we were younger that are weaknesses end up being strengths as we become older.
Mhm.
And you're utilizing all those strengths now, which I'm proud of you. Those are good stories. Yeah. We do have some good stories from our upbringing that kind of mold us to who we are now. Um, I want to talk more about, with your divorce, that the defining moment, like, was when your ex said what he said.
Mhm.
And I know the answer is probably yes. There were certain things throughout your marriage where you maybe not as impactful that made you make that decision. I'm going, but that were there that you didn't notice, or that you noticed and maybe swept under the carpet. Because I know I did.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. There were definitely things there, and and we're good friends today. So I don't want
Good.
to,
Good.
bash him. We're excellent parents. I think
Yeah.
to our son, we're very, very good parents, and I
Beautiful.
have a lot of respect for him, and without him, I don't think he meant to do the things that he did to me. He just didn't realize what he was doing.
Right.
But because he did those things, I am here today. So,
Right.
I'm thankful for where I am.
Sure.
I'm grateful for the person that I'm evolving and where I'm moving to. So, but yeah, but through in our marriage, I remember a lot of different things that I didn't probably tackle. I
Mm,
probably let slide a little bit, and and I also noticed that we were married 18 years, so,
mhm.
or in a relationship for 18 years, and I noticed that we evolved, our
Yeah.
relationship evolved. We started to change, he started to change.
Mm,
And
mhm.
I think he kind of lost respect for me because I wasn't the breadwinner in the
Mm,
family. I wasn't the one, even though I did all the other stuff in between. We had our own business and I helped with that. I did all of that kind of stuff. He didn't look at me because I didn't receive a paycheck. I didn't have a value.
right. Right.
It was a shame to look at that. I think now,
Yeah.
probably looking back on it, I think he probably regrets a lot of things,
Yeah.
that maybe transpired, that didn't realize, saying the things that he said. But
Right. Right.
He moved on into another relationship, and I believe even prior to our demise of ours, and I called it trading up. He went with another woman that, in his mind had more status, was his religious belief. I was not his.
Hmm.
In his same religious belief. So she was, kind of a pillar in her community.
Right.
So it was more of a status move for him. So I call that trading up, if
Hmm.
anybody ever wants to talk about that.
Yeah.
But and it's not a negative thing. It's just one of
No,
the things that
it
happens.
happens.
I mean, it's hurtful for the parties that are involved,
Right.
but it's a reality.
No, it is. And you brought up a few good points, many good points, but people do evolve in a relationship. And if the communication isn't solid and effective, that's how one or both can get lost because there are times that one partner doesn't change at all and one evolves, and that's going to do something that's going to make changes. But if I think it's all about managing and setting and managing expectations. And communicating them effectively. From the people I've talked to who are in successful marriages, happy marriages, I'll hear about how they communicated well and communicated early and often. And I always say, I wrote this in my book, that the method of communication my ex-wife and I had while we were married was avoidance, which was ineffective communication. It was communication, it was just very ineffective. And it was avoidance. It was silent and hoping things would just pass. And that's something I've learned that's very harmful because it builds resentment. And I've now forgiven myself and her. And communication methods are very, very different from me right now. So we learn.
Yeah, that's part of the healing
It
is
is.
that when you come to terms and you understand the part you played in the demise of the
Mhm.
relationship. Because
Yeah.
I cannot blame my ex for everything. And
No.
did he say some terrible things? Sure. Did he do some terrible things? Sure. But did I allow a lot of this stuff to happen? I
Mhm.
think I probably did. And
Yep.
so I have to stop and think to myself, what part did I play in it? Why
Yeah.
didn't I draw the line earlier? Why didn't I, set the boundaries a little bit tighter?
Right.
Those kind of things. And I think we both shifted and didn't make our marriage the priority. That was our
Yes.
priority. We
That
met business.
happens too.
We started doing other things,
Hmm.
with regards to business and
Yeah.
money and, all of that. And so, he became extremely successful. And I
Hmm.
believe also along with my help, which is another reason why I thought, well, if I helped him build a business and be successful, why can't I? Why
Bingo.
can't I do it?
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
know?
Why can't I? That's a great question that we should continue to ask ourselves. Why can't I and how can I?
Mhm.
And then because take the words can't out of our vocabulary, change it to how can I? Because we are capable of doing a lot of things, and but you have to build that belief inside of you. This has been a wonderful conversation.
I'll give you
Yeah,
I know we're probably gonna have to wrap up, but a key thing is how
yeah.
can you
Mhm.
is I've finally been called the Doyenne of relationship building.
Okay.
And that is the key is
Yeah,
relationship building.
yeah.
I would not be where I am today if it's not for my friends or people that I know that says, hey, you could do it this way. Why don't you try this? Oh, I know how to do this. Well,
Mm,
let me help you do that. It's
yeah,
all about building
it
relationships. So
is.
as we're moving through and then we're making that transition in our lives, we need
Mm,
to remember to continue to build relationships, with
absolutely.
other people. And I
Very
think
true.
that is how you can do the I can, because you
I
can
love
do
it.
it with people, right? It's like
Yeah. We can't do doing it alone is just a lot more difficult. You do it with other people who share your same vision and philosophy. It does make life a lot easier and fun. Makes
yeah,
it fun.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
my whole thing is going solo, but in reality, I am not.
No,
I
you're
am
definitely
not.
not. No, you're not. Absolutely. You're more bold, right? I
Yeah,
love it.
more
I love it.
bold,
I
more
love it.
bold.
So I have a couple questions before we round this out. I got two questions for you. The first one is give you the opportunity now. You're sitting next to young Cece, 7 to 10-year-old Cece, and you want to give her advice about life. What would you tell her?
Well, I think don't let any doors close,
Mm,
allow those doors to be open. And when my mom said, "Oh, you talk too much and you gotta, you're not going to learn anything if you're talking all the time. You got to
Yeah.
listen, those
Yeah.
types of things. She's right. I had to
Yeah.
listen. I had to
Mhm.
listen. I needed to listen more. But the
Yeah.
reality is I also needed to have a voice. I needed to,
Yes.
to go out and shine, do my own thing and be
Absolutely.
who I am. So don't allow any door to close. Allow yourself to be who you are. And if you're different, that's great. You're special.
Mhm.
We're all
Absolutely.
special in our own way. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. All right. So let's a different hat. Now you're sitting down with young Cece, the young businesswoman entrepreneur, and you want to give her advice about business. What would you tell her?
Well, I mean, I think I built this business beginning with not monetizing.
Hmm.
From a business standpoint, I realized that I have to monetize because
Right.
if you don't monetize, then people don't believe in the value of what you
Right.
have, right? And
Absolutely.
so I believe that it's important to learn how to do that, learn how
Right.
to monetize. So if you have a business and you're doing something, learn how to not only be economical with individuals, but to also learn how you need to make a living. You need to keep the lights on. You need to keep things going. And so I think
Absolutely.
as a businesswoman, I started more building an
Hmm.
um, emotional network,
Yeah.
and which is great and it's wonderful. And I want it to be supportive and being there. But I also know that if I want to keep doing what I love to
Yeah.
do, I
Yeah.
have I have to learn to monetize it and do it in a way that doesn't break the bank for people, but they're also feeling like they're contributing along
Yeah.
with what we're
Hmm.
doing.
Absolutely. Love that. Absolutely. Thank you so much. So, I want to thank you for not just coming on, but coming into my life. There's a reason why I ended up on Rosalind's show, and you were there, and it's there's more to come. I don't believe in one and done in this, what I call the industry, the entrepreneur industry, the going solo, going bold. One and dones don't work. One and dones don't build solid relationships. And getting to know each other on a deeper level helps understand people more and give you more opportunities to do stuff together. So thanks again for coming on, Cece. I
Well,
appreciate it.
thank you so much. I did some stats beforehand and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
realized that we had over 80% of men that listen to our shows,
Wow. That's
which is
unbelievable.
shocking. Yeah, which is shocking.
That's
So
in a
everybody
great, in
always
a
thought it was
great
a
way.
woman's network, but
Yeah, no, that's in a great way. Thank you for sharing that piece of data because there are men out there who are looking to grow,
mhm,
and I think the want is catching up to the need. The
mhm.
need's always been there for men to grow, and now I think more men want to. It's a matter of letting them be out in public and not be embarrassed by saying they want to grow because it's a
Yeah,
strength. It's a
absolutely.
strength to want to grow. Yeah. All righty. Well, Cece, thank you again for coming on. I appreciate
Well,
it.
thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. And I appreciate you. Everybody, take care of yourselves. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe and give us a review to help others find it. I'd like you to answer this question. Are you living the life you want to live, or are you living the life others want you to live? I'd like you to think about that for a second, because I strongly suggest you live the life you want to live. If you want to learn more about what I stand for and my services and how I'm able to help many men get out of their own way, please go to my website at www.profitcompassion.com. Feel free to also email me at drew@profitcompassion.com. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Take care of yourself and choose to write your own story instead of letting others write it for you.